What's up, everyone? Coach KG here. Now, before we jump into this episode, if you're looking to feel your absolute best this summer with a tight tummy, shredded abs, and just lose body fat to feel absolutely incredible for whatever special event you have coming up, whether it's a vacation, a party, a cottage weekend, whatever it is, I can't wait to help you get there and help you feel absolutely incredible. I guarantee your results, and all you have to do is message me with the keyword tight tummy to our Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit. We have 3 spots available. Like I said, guaranteed results, and I can't wait to help you get there.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast, where we do exactly that, help you become fitter, healthier, and happier. And what better way to start than with our first question out of the mailbag. So the first question we got is, I have a boat party coming up in the next month, and I want to look as lean as possible. Any tips to help get me there, especially for my stomach?
So this is an amazing question. I know a lot of people, no matter who you are, you have something that you're looking forward to this summer, whether it's a wedding, some sort of cottage weekend, maybe even a trip that you're looking to get tightened and toned for. And the first thing a lot of people think about, especially when they are in a bit of a crunch, like you only have a week, maybe a month, whatever it is they're trying to find quick fixes, right? Specific supplements, specific teas. Online, you may be searching or messaging ChatGPT, how can I get there the quickest? And the results may give you these promises that aren't actually going to help you get there. Could be a detox, could be a water cleanse, whatever. A lot of people are trying to do this, but if I were to just give you one simple tip, and this alone will make such a big difference, it works for all of our clients, is just focus on a calorie deficit. Now, I know it sounds very simple, and the way I say it, it's just like, oh, that's it. That's all I have to do. But simply put, if you track your calories and you make adjustments along the way and you make sure to eat less than you're burning per day and you're losing anywhere between 1 and 3 pounds per week, depending on how much you have to lose, you'll get to that point where your stomach is tighter. Now, it's not going to come down to you doing a million crunches. I know that's something a lot of other people will do. It's just simply put, making better decisions, eating healthy whole foods, cutting out minimally processed foods, drinking more water, and just avoiding alcohol. I know I just said a lot there, so you're going to want to make sure to take notes on that, but that alone will help you tighten and tone your stomach. And everyone's so different. For someone, it might take a month. It might take some people a couple other months. But if you make these changes along the way, you will start to see your stomach getting better. You'll start to notice the fat going down. And the last thing I'll say is you do have to be patient. I know a lot of people won't want to hear this if they have a specific event, but just know that everyone loses body fat in different ways. For me, it'll come off at the very last point. For Josh, he'll start to see his abs popping no matter what. So it's something to consider, is that you can't just say, hey, I want to tighten my stomach, I'm going to do all these different things and take supplements and do all these exercises. You have to just stick with it, be in the right calorie range, and stay consistent. And I promise you, you can get there. You just have to do it for a long enough period of time. So that's my main tip, and I hope it really helps.
It's a great point there, because doing the basics and doing them well is everything when it comes to locking in. I think when people have an event like this, and it's easy to get motivated and to agree in your head that you're going to lock in, it's game time, and they'll just go to these extremes. They'll start immediately saying like, well, I'm just going to do this crazy long run, but they won't actually look at the basics, like their diet, their training, their consistency, and address the things that will actually move the needle. Like, it's awesome if you go on like an hour run a day, but that isn't necessarily going to change your composition. And if you're eating the same amount of food, you're not going to actually lose any extra fat. So that's where you really need to look at the core of the problem here. And also you need to have that mindset that to get somewhere you've never been, to get increased results, it will require increased action, and it will also require you to do a lot of what you don't want to do. Like, if you have excess stomach fat, there's likely a reason you have that, right? Certain behaviors, maybe having extra dessert, having extra drinks, eating extra food on the weekend, and these are things you're going to need to really start to fix, and fix quite suddenly too, because when you have a shortened time frame, that's where there's less opportunity for you to mess up, and that's where you really need to hold your goal in high regard if it's something you actually do want to achieve. But if you do want to do that, like Kyle said, it's those basics that will actually move the needle and that will actually get you to where you're trying to go. And you can actually see a lot of change in 3 weeks. Like Kyle said, 1 to 3 pounds. 4 weeks rather. So you could see like 4 to 16 pounds, which is absolutely amazing. So if you take it serious, you can actually have this event be a big motivator for you. And I have no problem with these short-term events, because if you lock in for these 30 days, even if you don't have a pop and six pack, you're going to be closer than where you were. You're going to be motivated, and you're going to be able to carry that momentum in and to really begin that switch to a long-term mindset where you really aim to have like more longevity behind your journey, to see more consistent progress, and to really find ways to break some old habits and build some new efficient ones. And things like this can be such a nice catalyst because they're so immediate. It's hard to be excited like a year out, but when something's close, it's easier to lock in. But it's really important. And like I said, you take it serious, you lock in, and you get right after it.
And on that note, I think it's so important, and this is what I call the 2-goal rule. I just made it up, but I think it's so important to keep in mind. So when you have a goal, make sure you have another goal that's set for the future. So in this case, the boat party. That's something you're looking forward to. That's awesome. That's 1 month from now, but then you have to look a couple months from now, maybe 6 months from now, a year from now. Set something else. That could be a DEXA scan. That could be a photo shoot. That could be another wedding that you're looking to attend later this year. So that way, as soon as that first event takes place, you don't rebound. You don't just say, oh, well, who cares? Or, hey, I've accomplished this goal. Now I'm good. Because like I said, there are so many people who end up losing weight, and because they have shorter time frames, because they resort to short-term fixes and they have a short-term mindset, and they end up going backwards, and they end up feeling so horrible because, yeah, they lost 10 pounds, but they end up gaining 15 pounds. You never want to be that type of person. I've seen it happen it's so common for a lot of people to do this. So when you set that first goal, sit down with yourself and say, how can I set another one that's going to be a little bit further in the future? But this alone will change the game for you. Think long-term, create those amazing habits that you do day over day. I promise you, you will accomplish some incredible things.
I love that 2-goal rule. I think that's a fantastic thing, especially to come up with it on the spot, because at the same time, like these positions of like short-term goals and short-term little stints of incredible action, they can be phenomenal like challenges, but we've been against them previously because a lot of the time it'll be like, okay, I've achieved it, and just revert and undo all the hard work that's been done. But I love that idea of once I get here, like what am I going to start to focus on next? Because it's really important you do move that needle, not to take away any self-satisfaction or to not celebrate the progress you have had, but to keep yourself growing and building. And I think there's just no better feeling than when you're growing and elevating and building. And the second you get complacent, and I think actually this is a perfect transition, believe it or not, into my quote, which is a Chinese proverb, and it's, a man grows most tired while standing still. And this has just been on my mind. And there's this song me and Kyle both really like by this rapper Gunna. It's like Him All Along. And it's funny, I was actually really listening to the words. A lot of the time I think with rap, I'll just listen to the beats and get fired up to lift heavy in the gym. But like the whole time he's basically saying like, no one can stop my growth. I'm going to keep moving closer and closer to my goals. And I thought that was pretty motivating. And I noticed with myself, when I'm striving to something, when I'm challenged by something, when you're doing something hard and you're overcoming that struggle, that's when you actually feel the most motivated. And when I always say to my clients, wait, just like a couple weeks in of working with me, you're going to see incredible change. You're going to get so motivated. It's going to get so much easier. And without fail, that happens. When you see results, you get addicted. But for you to do that, you need to go through some struggle. You need to take that action. And perhaps previously you said you're going to lock in, but you haven't been serious about it. So some things you could do with that as well are add real stakes, announce your goal very publicly, because it's a lot more embarrassing if you fail. And I think most often we'll be a little bit scared to admit we failed. So I find that can be a great catalyst for just progress. You can have like a little bit of a bonus thing with your friends. If you're going on this boat trip with a couple friends and they want to lean out, tell them what you're doing, ask them if they want to get in on it, book some gym times. We used to we'd have groups where we were cutting down for a powerlifting meet, and we'd send our weigh-ins every week. We'd send a photo of us on the scale, moving closer to our goal. And I remember it was really fun, and it just like made it so that you had to commit to it. So setting goals, setting new goals, advancing forward, challenging yourself, failing, readjusting, and then setting new ones. Like that is the best part of the journey. And ultimately that is how you can see massive results. And these things can be just catalysts to really get you in groove and to help you build discipline. And the biggest thing of all on top of that is doing what you need to do, even when you don't feel like doing it. There'll be days you don't want to wake up. There'll be days you don't want to go to the gym. There'll be days you don't want to eat a healthy meal, or you just want to go over your calories. But when you stick to your plan and you show yourself that you win those moments, you're consistent, that's when you become unstoppable, and the results just come in so fast. fast. So you got to get yourself to that position, one decision at a time, but you can absolutely do it. And that's my quote, and I guess some additional thoughts.
And even on that note, basically we're more than halfway through the year, and I saw a post from a buddy just the other day, and he was talking about goal setting and, kind of talking about, I guess, the question of like, are you closer to your goals? Do you remember your goals that you set at the start of the year? And I thought it was so important. I sat down this morning just with my journal here just to reflect, because even Josh, we were talking about goal setting the other day and how we're behind some things and we're crushing some others. And I just think it's such a good point, like especially at this point of the year, just to reflect back on those New Year's resolutions and New Year's goal setting and just the things that you told yourself you would do. Because once again, it's so easy for us to forget about that. So just a friendly reminder. I spent some time doing that as well. And I know a lot of people just set these goals and they just completely forget about it. They don't think about it. It's so important to review your goals like 1 to 2 times per day. It's been said that when you do, you're so much more likely to accomplish it. So just don't forget about that. But my quote for today is the only limits that exist are the ones you place upon yourself. So I just remember making a video. I want to reshare it soon, but it was basically just us all failing like some sort of deadlift in the past, like back when we used to do like really heavy deadlifts, bunch of buddies. And I just remember that line because I said it so many different times as I was filming the video, and it was just like intense. I just said the only limits that exist are the ones you place upon yourself. And it was just afterwards, we all ended up hitting the deadlift. So there was like 6 fails and then there was 6 successes. And the truth is that like, you just have to keep going. Honestly, most of the time it's your mindset that forces you to fail when you say you can't do something. And a lot of the things that I've accomplished, especially in my fitness journey, have just been myself telling myself that I can do it. Obviously having the support around, with Josh helping me out and whatnot is the best because it helps in so many different ways. But I just see so many people like that's the thing that holds them back from accomplishing big things, is just like self-sabotaging, not believing they have what it takes, and just all this negative energy of like, oh, I failed so many times, what's the point? And when you go into something with that mindset, of course you're going to fail. So you really have to spend time building your mindset up, having people around you that support you and are willing to tell you what you need to know. And that's going to be my quote. The only limit that exists are the ones you place upon yourself.
Yeah, if you think about it, like more often than not, people like leash themselves and really limit the like opportunity they can have to grow with excuses. It'll be, I don't have time to go to the gym, I'm too busy studying for school, or I just had kids, or I can't eat healthy, I don't have the money to buy healthy food. Like it's so much easier just to make a quick excuse than to actually work to find solutions. So you need to look at yourself and say, like, am I handicapping my own progress? Like, am I limiting myself, or am I encouraging myself and setting myself up to grow? And it's a hard like conversation to have with yourself, but spending some time to reflect on that is so important, because all too often I find the people that are struggling the most, like it's self-inflicted, and it's easy to blame other things. Like I said, like to blame your work, to blame your situation, to blame whatever it may be as to why you can't succeed. But if you can flip that and you can say, I want to remove these limits, even if I can get like 1% better, what's one thing I can do to actively like take that next step and to move in the right direction? So that was a great quote there. And as we further jump into our thoughts, I actually had a really cool stat that I saw this week, and that is that men are 4 times likely to be a millionaire than to have a 6-pack. So the percentage of US men with a visual 6-pack is only 2.5%. And the percentage of US men who are millionaires is 12%. Now, this is probably skewed with like home ownership and all those different things, because that does affect net worth, especially with the older generation. But I do think it's so cool how incredibly rare it is to have a 6-pack. And I was recently having a conversation, and the individual was just saying how like it's hard and this is what everyone does or whatever it may be. And I was like, well, why would you want to be like everyone else when you want to be exceptional? Like, do you want to be in the 97.5% of people that don't have a 6-pack? And let's remove the male or female equation from this. I'm not sure the stats for female. I'm sure it's even rare because women are naturally less lean. But my point is, like, why not be that exception? Why not challenge yourself instead of saying, I'm just going to be like everyone else, to say, like, I want to be elite. I want to be the best. I want to see what I'm really capable of doing. And as you strive towards that, even if you don't achieve it, it's so motivating. And I think that's a really fun stat too. Like, if you're motivated to have a 6-pack as a man, just to say, wow, like how rare and cool that is. And I find stuff like that can be very motivating, because there's something nice about doing something special or being elite in a category, or really just showing yourself that you can do something that is very proven to be hard. And it is basically like you can't buy your way to a six pack, like unless you're Drake. I've seen a lot of people sending me that. Apparently Drake got fake abs or something. There's a big controversy about that. I don't know what's going on there. It does definitely look like a little bit weird because he has like no muscularity and his abs are very lean and his upper isn't. Nonetheless, we'll just assume that you can't necessarily buy your way to like a good looking six pack, but it's amazing because you could have all the money in the world, but you got to put that work. You got to do that plate push, as Kyle likes to say, and not eat that extra serving and track your calories, be on top of your training, eat your protein, be diligent. So I think it's fun. Like, I guess a theme we've had thus far in the episode is setting really big, dramatic, scary goals and just moving towards them and believing in yourself that you can make that happen. But that was my main thought. I have one more I'll circle back to after Kyle.
Yeah, and my thought actually kind of relates to that because I've been thinking a lot about this recently, is just trying to get into the 1%. So what really inspired this is the other day I was on a walk and I saw, I think it was like 4 to 7 people like just smoking cigarettes on their way to work. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, man, it is crazy how unhealthy people can be, right? It's just like, you go and you walk past a fast food joint and you just see a lot of bad decisions. And I typically try not to be one that judges. Like I try to help people around me and focus on myself. But then I went online, I was just searching. I'm like, okay, if you were to be someone who strength trains 3 to 5 times a week, you track your calories and you eat healthy whole foods, like what percentage does that bring you into? And it was great. Like you'd be in the top 1 to 3% or something like that, just because most people aren't like that. And I was just like, when it comes down to just being healthier, a lot of the decisions, and I'm not perfect, but I try to make is just try not to fit in, try to be the exception, just obviously never smoking and like trying to limit alcohol and trying to just be better consistently. Because if you just kind of fit in with the status quo and do what people around you do, if you meet up with old high school friends and they're all doing whatever they're doing, you have to make that better decision because that's not you. Like you're listening to a Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast. And I think it's so motivating just to consistently aim to be better, to be in that top 1 to 3 to 5%, whatever that is. And if you just keep showing up for yourself and make better decisions, you can be there. You just have to stay consistent with it, and just keep showing up for yourself. So that was what I had to say on top of Josh's main point there.
Yeah, sometimes when you set goals that are too small, it doesn't actually make you want to get up and take action. But if you have something that's just so scary, you're like, okay, I need to get to work right away. So I think, once again, that's a good theme. And ask yourself, like, what's a goal you want to set, but maybe you're scared to admit? And now would be a great time to make that happen. But one other thought I had that I wanted to share is like not to fall victim to resource overwhelm. So I think it's funny that there's probably more access to information than there's ever been. Like you can quickly make a semi-custom routine in seconds on like a chat GPT, or you can take someone else's routine that they've had made for them, or you can get someone's diet plan or whatever it is. There's so much out there. There's just infinite amounts of info. The problem with that is you're losing like the nuance and the custom nature of it. And I was using the analogy with a friend, even like programming. Like I know some people say, oh, I use ChatGPT for programming. And usually those people, unfortunately, don't look like they follow the best routine or see the best results because it misses so much nuance that comes towards it. It's like a song, right? Like you can ask a robot to make a song, but it's just not going to have that human element. And there's like tempos you need to consider and fluidity, and there's just things you won't understand. And that's where sometimes when you just try to go this quick and easy route, it actually hinders you because you end up in a position where you're doing something worse, or you're building bad habits, or you're neglecting your opportunity to really achieve your potential. And in general too, I've known people my whole life who've said, oh, I'm just going to figure it out myself. And there's like this pride to wanting to do it yourself, which I do not understand. I've failed to understand. I've just unfortunately seen those people struggle, or I've had other people that I've known reach out to me and they're just seeing crazy, amazing results. And I've used this example before, but if my like sink breaks, I'm not going to go researching it, going to the plumbing store, buying a bunch of rent. Like it doesn't make sense. There's a plumber, there's someone who's a pro at that. I could Google how to do it. It's just going to be a waste of time and effort. And that's where like having a coach is so imperative, or at least spending the time to really understand what you're doing and make like a good custom routine for you, to understand nutrition and to understand why that's going to move the needle. Because like I said, I've played around with it and I've asked it. I've never, ever once been impressed with what it spat out. And I've tried so many different cues and so many different things. So just be careful with how much is out there, and be careful not to go down a weird path. And I think also there's like social engineering, where even for us, there's this like multi-level marketing product that everyone talks about in our area. and people just rave about it. And there's just such a group of people raving about it, and they're all rich and successful people. And you can see how it tricks people, because you're like, oh, well, these 10 people all say it's amazing, it must be legit, when it just so obviously isn't. So that's where you need to be really careful in this journey. And I think going back to what Kyle said for the first question, like sticking to the basics, sticking to what works, understanding, taking the time to research. And if you want to do it, take the time to research. But I think like removing that pride, because that is a great example of actually sacrificing your progress and putting a limit, is the pride that it needs to be done yourself. Like when someone signs up with us, also, what I love is I'm not just teaching them for then and now, I'm teaching them for the rest of their life. Like you'll understand why you eat certain things, why you're eating protein, how foods affect you, the breakdown of foods, of how carbs and fats affect you alongside protein. Like understand effective training, understand your weak spots, your strengths, and then you can build from that. Whereas if you take a wrong turn, like you could lose years of progress, or even worse, there's people that always say they want to do it on themselves, and they've been wanting to do it by themselves for 5 years, when like you could just make that commitment now, take that scary jump, get that support, and greatly speed your way towards that result. So that was on my thought, because I've been hearing it a lot, and I hear it more and more, and it's tempting because there's so much available, but it's almost worse that so much is available now, because it's so easy to get in the weeds with it and make mistakes.
Yeah, I'd say most people just, unfortunately, they have the right intention, they just don't have the right actions. And that is a large fact of, even like Josh said, ChatGPT, YouTube, there's just so many resources, which like I talk to so many people as well, and they're just consistently jumping from one thing to another. Like it's so rare. And even for us, like a great example is our business. Like I just saw, he actually is a really good influencer. Like he bodybuilder anyways. Yesterday he posted saying that he was like doing online coaching, and then he started to get like obsessed with jumping around from one thing to another. And he said he lost his purpose. Like he got into like real estate, and then, just investing, and then just a million different things. And he said, I need to get back to what I'm good at, which is like coaching and fitness. And I thought that was such a good point, because even these examples, like of just staying on that one course, following it, it's what we do, it's what we recommend. That's what's going to get true results. It's not from going from one thing to another. It's about staying the course, focusing on one course until successful. And that's what the perfect recipe is. The last thought I have is that if you are someone who's struggling with something, this morning I found there was some things that have been bothering me just for myself, being on my phone too much. There was a bunch of things. I wrote out about 5 to 6 things that I feel like I could improve on. And then as I was writing it out, I'm like, this isn't good enough. So I drew a line halfway through. Once again, got my journal right here. I sat here and did it for about 15 minutes this morning. And I was like, okay, so what actions can I take on these notes? Like, it's not good enough just to say, okay, I'm on my phone too much, or I'm scrolling too much. It's like, what can I do that's going to actually produce change? So next week when I check in with myself, I'm able to make this change that I'm happy with. So just a random study, I guess not study, but a random task you can do. If you feel like you're doing something that you're not happy with, or you feel like you're struggling, you say you're going to get to the gym, like not only setting that thing and mentioning that this is what you want to improve, but you have to create an action step and have some accountability with that. So that's been on my mind, something I'm passionate about. And that's the last thought I have for this amazing Monday episode.
Yeah, and before we jump into our client shout out, we're just going to do real quick what's made us happy this week. And I've just been loving that summer. I think the sun sets like after 9. We're playing volleyball. I know we spoke about that last week, but it's just so cool being able to play so late into the night. And the parallel between that and like the winter is just absurd, when the sun would like go down at like 4:30. So I think it's a good reminder not to wish away this time, to soak it up, to enjoy it, especially if it's summer for you as well. I know for some people it's not, but it's definitely one thing I've really been enjoying.
Yeah. On that note, for me, my main thing is just, I really reflected on our community. Like I was looking through our Facebook group with so many amazing people. This past week, there were recipes shared. There were a lot of wins shared. And I'm just so like grateful that, as I reflect back on this entire thing, and I was just talking about Josh and myself staying the course, is just like, this is the one thing that we've stayed consistent with for well over 10 years. Like obviously we've done different things within our program, and we've done different platforms, and we've experimented and whatnot, but we've just been so focused on this one thing, building an amazing community of people who are crushing it, who are looking to get to the next level, who motivate us as well. So the fact that so many clients of ours just show up for themselves consistently and inspire us and invest in themselves, we're so grateful. So if you're listening and you're a client, you guys make us happy, all the work you put in and your amazing positive mindsets, and we're grateful to have you here.
Yeah, it's so motivating with clients, celebrating wins, seeing them progress, learning. I'm still learning from everyone as well because everyone will have, like Kyle said, fun recipes, fun tips, unique thoughts. And it's been absolutely an amazing journey. And I feel like it's been the best fuel as a coach as well. And then having that community of support, just like-minded people who are getting after it, that are pushing toward their goals. Like if you do it by yourself, it's so hard. If you do it with a coach, it's like another level. And then if you have community behind you, you're out of this world, right? You're out of the atmosphere. Like you just have so much support and energy and motivation. Like it becomes impossible to fail. And that's why we fully guarantee our results with our coaching. And I think that is a great segue into our client shout out for this week. So who do we have?
This week we have Brandi, and I wanted to start with her initial message before she signed up. By the way, she's over 35 pounds down. In the first month, she lost 15 pounds, and she had said, "It's time. I've battled my weight more years than I haven't, and it's always been such a struggle. I've continuously wished for my dream body and being able to wear anything I want, eliminating back pain, better mobility, etc. I've tried losing weight so many times, more than I can count, and nothing's stuck. Super, super pumped to have the incredible resources you guys have and the extra accountability." So once again, this was in the process of her just reaching out and just jumping on board. And it's so incredible to see because anyone can do it no matter what, no matter how many times you've failed, no matter how many diets and fads and different things that you've experienced. We have the solution for you and we fully customize everything. That's something a lot of people don't understand, especially when it comes to different coaching programs that aren't customized or these resources, ChatGPT, let's just say, like you get generic things. When we take a full look at your overall physique, your struggles, your past history, everything you need, it is fully customized. The time frame you have, the goals in which you want to accomplish something. So Brandi is an amazing example, 35 pounds down and counting. She's a completely different person with new habits. And like I said at the start of this episode, if you want to get your dream body, which you absolutely should, just message us tight tummy to our Instagram at Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT. We guarantee your results.
Huge shout out to Brandi. And yeah, like Kyle said, we look forward to helping you. Remove that ego. Let us do the hard work for you, give you exactly what you need to succeed. And what I'll say is if you're wanting to get in shape, you want the least path of resistance to actually achieve that because that's what you're most likely to follow. And I'm going to be there to help show you that. If you go about it yourself and you add in the learning, the application, losing accountability, it just becomes so ridiculously hard. So I'm telling you, this is your chance. Summer's not over. You can still get a crazy physique. You can still blow everyone's mind at the beach. And if you want to do that, definitely hit us up with Tight Tummy because I look forward to working with you one-on-one. But now we're going to jump into our second question of the day, which is I've been doing a lot of running, but I find it hard to recover from my strength workouts from the intense runs. I find walking doesn't make me work hard enough. Any thoughts on this topic?
It's a great question and actually something I made an entire YouTube video on. And it's something that's really on the top of my mind because I always get asked it as someone that used to run. I used to do a lot of it, like upwards of 50 to 60 miles a week. And that was really challenging. But when it comes down to people looking to lose fat and implement cardio, I know one of the first things they think about as well is just going out and running because you can burn a lot of calories. You feel very efficient with how much you sweat, with how much it kills you, how much it drains you, and you feel like you're getting to the next level. Now, for most people, I'm not the biggest fan of it, and there's a couple different reasons. Basically, it's very hard to recover for most people. The risk of injury is significantly higher. The psychology of people having to get out for a run is also tough. So for example, strength training is actually what's going to change your body as well as nutrition. Those two things make such a big difference. And I know a lot of people, when it comes to running, they actually dread it. You know, you spend a lot of time on your willpower trying to get out there, thinking about it, talking about it, and it takes away the fact that we need to get into the gym, the fact that we need to be resistance training and eating better and making all these better decisions. So for a lot of people, it's a distraction, right? Once again, it can be used to help you create a deficit, but it wouldn't be my first choice. And that's why I'm so passionate about walking because you can do it absolutely anywhere. It's going to be actually amazing for recovery. It does take a little bit longer to burn a sufficient amount of calories if you were to compare it to running, but it's just a lot more sustainable. And I even looked at the injury risks for a lot of people who run, and having done it myself and seen a lot of people, it's up to 80% of people will end up getting injured. So like I said, I've gone through different phases, but a lot of times if you have this happen and you have to start skipping the gym and you can't even get out and walk and move and stuff, it's going to defeat the purpose. And the last thing I'm going to have to say is that when it comes down to it, calorie intake, as you know, is super important. And when it comes to running and doing high intensity classes and all this other stuff, a lot of people end up eating their calories back. And that's just because it leaves you feeling hungrier. So most people, they'll burn 1,000 calories from a run and you'll be so ravenous, you'll end up consuming way more afterwards. So a lot of things working against you. I know I've listed a lot of downsides, but the truth is that most people can get away. I'd say everyone can get away without running. And for a lot of people, it does offer some downsides if you are looking to just simply be healthier and improve your body composition. Nothing wrong with including a little bit, 15-minute runs, couple mile runs, no problem. But when it comes down to just doing too much of it, it actually can affect your results. And not to mention, you can lose muscle in the process, which I've experienced, and I know a lot of people have as well.
Yeah, Kyle nailed it. To me, like in a weight loss journey or fat loss journey or muscle gain journey, cardio is an afterthought to training and nutrition, and it can be a great tool to actually help with your expenditure, but it isn't necessarily necessary, I suppose you could say. And with it as well, there are a lot of risks, right? Like Kyle's point of barrier to entry is a big one, because even me, I think of like, okay, where am I going to run? I need to wear more pointed clothes. Like I don't want to sweat too bad, and maybe I'll need to shower. Whereas a walk is very easy to do. You could pretty much wear anything. It isn't actually going to burn a ton of energy. It's not going to take away from your workout. And that's where it's also safer, which is nice. Saying so, if running comes easy to you, you like it, you can do it consistently, you have no problems, it can be a phenomenal tool to add to your expenditure. And it could actually allow you perhaps to eat a smidgen more food, or it can help you regulate your cardio. And perhaps if you're really like tough on time, you can obviously get a lot more intensity in a shorter burst of time. So it can be a tool, but in general, like I don't advise it for my clients unless they like it. My clients like it, I'll encourage it 110%, but I feel like some people think they need to run to lose weight, especially watching like old boxing movies and stuff, but that isn't the case at all. And I think Kyle's answers there were truly phenomenal and kind of hit everything on the head. So anything else there or no? All right, then we're going to go into our third and final question of the day, and that is, what are some mistakes you see when it comes to ab training? My friend works his abs daily, and I keep telling him it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, great question. And when it comes down to it, I see a lot as well, similar, people jumping right. Even the other day, I saw someone like they came into the gym at the same time, and then they just started doing a ton of ab work right away. And for me, I just don't think that's a priority. I'd rather focus on compounds and like focus on what actually matters and use that at the end. So I guess that's one thing I would say is a common mistake. And this individual asking and saying their friend does it daily, that's also another mistake, right? Your abs are a muscle and you shouldn't be doing it every single day. And to be honest, if you are, you're probably going to be doing it very poorly, which brings me into my other tip. And something that I've made the mistake on in the past is just not enough control. When it comes down to it, you've got to slow down the movement. You've got to focus on the mind-muscle connection. Even myself, I would find like when a movement's hard, I would just rush through it. So leg raises, for example, like it's so easy to just do it and just like rush through and like swing your legs around, and even Russian twist, for example, you just like go from side to side as quickly as you can without actually focusing on mind-muscle connection. And that's going to be the main thing that I see a lot of people doing. And on that note is obviously thinking that doing direct ab work is going to be like the end all be all. So people who have goals of a tighter tummy and wanting to get to the next level on their journey and all this stuff, thinking like all I need to do is abs. So they run through all the machines. They think it's going to solve everything. They don't pay attention to nutrition. They kind of use it as like a crutch where it's like, oh, well, I can eat whatever. Like I did a 30-minute ab workout today and whatever, like one of those YouTube videos and all that other stuff. And they make bad decisions because they are like, well, ab training is the only way to get abs, but it's actually not the case. You have to eat better. You have to hit your compounds. You have to resistance train. So that's going to be my main thought on this subject.
Yeah. Once again, Kyle nailed it. Not too much to have there. There's no need to overcomplicate these things. And I think time and time, overcomplicating it can feel good because you can feel like you're coming at it with some tactical advantage, but that's not the case at all. And as you remove the main thing, like the 20% that produces 80% of the results, it just comes at a hindrance of your progress. So it's something you actively need to fight against because, like I said, with that multi-level marketing example earlier, it's enticing. We want to find these solutions with our psychology, but that just isn't the case. And instead, you really need to get at the root, fix the core problems, and just work on better behaviors, find ways to do them more consistently, avoid having big misses, percentages and the more accurate and consistent you can be. Same with ab training. Like, you can do abs till you're black and blue, but it's really important you dial in your nutrition, that you're lean enough where you can see those abs. Training abs is like any other muscle where you can develop it. There's the same reason I don't train my biceps every day. You want to approach the training in the most optimal way, but you also want to make sure that you can see them by being lean enough, and you're going to achieve that by actually being in a deficit. So really hope you enjoyed tuning in with us today. If you haven't already, make sure you are following our podcast on Spotify or iTunes. That'll make sure you actually can see the episodes. They come out every Monday and Thursday. So on Monday, we have Motivation Monday, where we get you fired up, answer questions just as we did today. And every Thursday, where we do a deep dive into a topic to help you become better, fitter, healthier, and happier. So make sure you're subscribed and following the podcast, whether on iTunes or Spotify. Also, if you could take 2 seconds to leave a review, it really does make a big difference. Helps us grow. It gets the podcast out more. We see every single review, and it really does make us smile. So like I always like to say, it's easy to say, oh, I never leave reviews. But if you could do one thing to help us out and take 2 seconds to do that, it really would mean a lot. It will help us grow and help us continue to put out more fire just like this. So thanks again for tuning in. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you on Thursday. Peace out.